I've got here with me David Strapinis, who is director of animation here at Factor 5 and who did quite a bit of the cutscenes in the game. And Chris Crawford, who was level designer for Ison Corridor. Let's start out with you, David, because the level is starting out with you.
This was one of my favorite levels for cutscenes, simply because everything about it is so dramatic and very cool looking. So it's fun to shoot and work with. And it also has, I think, the only piece of comedy in the game, which is the intro, where it's kind of the Star Destroyer nose coming over, and then the big reveal.
Which is taken from Star Wars 1, but...
4,
kind of
Star Wars 4.
Alright, episode 4, yeah. So in general, about cutscenes, how do you do cutscenes? Because obviously they're real-time cutscenes, there's a little bit of video here and there, but how are they done?
Well, the process usually starts with talking with the level designer over what he needs to accomplish with the cutscenes, story, mechanics of the game, like for this one, craft switching, and then we sit down, talk about what we want to accomplish with the cutscene, and then I sit and I play the level for a couple of hours and try to get some ideas as to what are cool areas of the level, and we usually storyboard it out, or at least make quick visual notes, and then it's just a simple process of working within Maya.
Maya is a software tool?
Yeah, Maya is our 3D application, which we do all the artwork in.
Yeah.
Both animation and models and everything like that.
How many movie tricks are you able to use nowadays? Because I mean, compared to say N64 or even the Super Nintendo, the cutscenes can be much more elaborate, obviously.
The cutscenes can be a lot more elaborate, and we can do some camera tricks, but some of the we're one of the big problems we actually have for the cutscenes is things without a visual reference in space. Trying to get the sense that the ships are moving, which in both Star Wars and in the movies, what they would do is they just move the stars in the background. Mm-hmm. But here we can't do that because if we move the star, in order to do that, the lighting on the ships change. So we have to figure out tricks there to try to get a sense of the ships moving and that kind of stuff. But we can do camera cuts, which are pretty cool. We can pretty much do a lot of the tricks. The one problem, like I said, is not being able to cheat as much as you'd want to with rendering.
Chris, about Ison Corridor, what's special about the level, or what's specific about the level?
Well, it's the first level in the game where there's no height map, no ground, that is, to use as a reference for the player, so it's unique in that way. And also, it's the first level to introduce craft switching, so that the player can use a different craft than the one they started with. Mm-hmm. So, had to be kind of careful in that I didn't want to overwhelm the player with too many or rather too deadly enemies in this level. Try to keep them pretty stupid compared to some of the other levels. As for the craft switching thing, the way we introduce that is through one of David's cutscenes. We just show Wedge switching craft, and hopefully that will explain it pretty well to the player.
In terms of the second part, how's the fog done? In the sense of, do you actually do those clouds, or how's it handled for a level designer?
Well, the clouds that you see in the far distance, those are actually paintings done by our lead artist, and that's basically just a big object in the background that has those paintings on it. And then as far as the clouds that you actually fly through, that is a real volumetric cloud, which I place. It's basically just a big squashed sphere that I place in the level to define the range that the volumetric cloud fills.
And then basically, based on what the artist puts on it, it takes up that, but it does it in 3D.
Right, correct.
So it looks like a cloud in 3D. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Plus, gameplay-wise, it's supposed to force you to use the targeting computer a bit more than in the first level.
Right. Yeah. It's deliberately. Actually, even the first part and the second part, the enemies are sort of deliberately obscured, and we play voice lines to encourage people to try out the targeting computer and identify enemies that way.